This thing exploded. Gross. Well, there goes that.
Wait as I fast forward through this little explosion with my primer bottle. Thanks so much.
So this primer happens to be a drugstore brand hydrating primer. I'm just adding it because I want my skin to be extra moisturized. You can use any one that you have at home. There's no such thing as making a cute face when you're trying to just slap your primer on, okay? So I'm gonna let this primer dry a little bit. While I'm letting it dry, I'm gonna do
Some extra lip moisturizer? That's what I forgot to say. Extra lip moisturizer. The one that I'm using is Aquaphor, also a drugstore brand. Use whatever favorite lip moisturizer you've got at home.
I'm gonna do a really simple makeup. I'm just putting all of my primers on. So that was the face primer. Here is some eyeshadow primer. The eyeshadow primer I'm using is one that I found on Amazon. And yeah, you could use a basic eyeshadow primer if your eyelids are also oily like mine are. This is what I like to use for my under eye. It's the MAC Fast Response eye cream. It's just good for if you have any sort of bags underneath your eyes. I want to add that it's really good if you have minimal bags underneath your eyes. This doesn't do what the Peter Thomas Roth eye cream does, but it does help kind of shrink any sort of minor bags you might have underneath your eye and also tighten up any sort of fine lines you might have as well. The only real place, I get too shiny in two places. One is here on the center of my forehead. And then one is here. Okay, I'm applying some eyeshadow here with a super fluffy MAC brush. And the eyeshadow I'm putting on is one that's super close to my skin tone. And then I'm going to apply one that is a medium brown shade. I have hooded eyes, so I always apply the eyeshadow above the hood or above what I would think was the crease on my eyes. And it's just a light wash. It's super simple. Don't overcomplicate this step. It's just to add some dimension to the eye area. So this is me just giving myself a little eyebrow shave in between my brows because I noticed a few hairs sprouting up in between. And I haven't been tweezing my hairs lately. I've been trying to grow a lot of my eyebrow hairs back, but I do like to experiment with eyebrow shapes. And so that's why I'm actually using a razor in between to get those little hairs that are growing back. I'm not actually going to do anything with my brows in this tutorial because I've cut bangs and the bangs disguise my eyebrows. So why take that extra step when I don't have to? So this is a step that you could leave out if your brows are the way you like them.
And this truly is my most minimal makeup routine, so there you have it. Alright, as soon as I went on to do my eyeliner pen exploded.
After cleaning up the mess, I decided to go ahead and use the eyeliner. This is just a felt tip eyeliner from Wet n Wild. I'm not actually using it to draw a line above my eye, above the lash. I want it to be super easy, so I'm just really using this in my upper waterlines to darken the lash line. This is so much easier than trying to like make a perfect winged liner with a liquid liner when you're going for a minimalistic look. So great tip for you if you have hooded eyes or eyes where it's hard to create that liner on the lid, especially with that liquid line. And this gets super, super dark. So this is why I like to use this one on my upper lash lines. Now that my upper lash lines are lined, I'm going to do a little wing using a super tiny eyeshadow brush and some black eyeshadow. Black eyeshadow is so much more forgiving than if I were to use a liquid liner, a felt tip liner, any sort of paint pot or gel liner. So I like to take this super easy route and use a simple matte black eyeshadow and this really tiny eyeshadow brush to create a cat eye. Notice my eyes are open when I am creating this line, and the reason being that I have hooded eyes, and in order to create a wing that doesn't disappear when I have my eyes open, I have to create the wing with my eyes open. So I'm using a magnifying mirror here, and for you, depending on your own eye shape, this is the fastest way that I can create definition around my eye. This is the fastest way I can elongate my eye, which is the shape that I like my eye to have whenever I do my makeup. And so this is the method that I'm going to use. If you've never done this before, I highly recommend it, especially if you're trying to do makeup that is anti-aging. It's a very basic, minimalistic sort of way to define your eye and lift your eye without having too much darkness around your eye. This little brush that I'm using is actually from a professional makeup brand called Hakuhodo, and it's one of their smallest eyeliner brushes. For me, anti-aging makeup really is about focusing on your skin and focusing on the definition of the features that you love the most on your face. So for me, that's focusing on my eyes and accentuating my eye shape. So I spend most of my time, even when I'm doing the most minimalistic looks, defining my eyes and like really giving them a strong definition on my face. This mascara that I'm using, it's a mascara from Maybelline, and notice I don't even curl my lashes. Now, there's going to be so many, I don't know, makeup gurus out there who want to lecture me maybe on not curling my lashes, but here's a tip for you. If you have really straight, stubborn lashes, this is a trick that I've been using for years. I used it when I was a professional makeup artist on set with models with stubborn lashes. I would put on a really thin coat of waterproof mascara, and then I would let that coat of mascara dry. And as I'm letting that coat of mascara dry, I come back to the coat of mascara and do a second coat. And this coat is what actually lifts up my eyelashes. Now, here's my partner showing me her haircut that I actually just gave her. Quick interlude with the makeup here. And remember what I said about the skin. We're going to wait until that primer dries down to do anything with the skin. My primer has dried down, so now I am using a powder foundation. This powder foundation is by MAC, and I know some of you makeup girlies want to come for me. I'm not using any liquid foundation or any concealer at all. My skin happens to be quite oily, and even though it is oily, I still use hydrating face care products to give it even more moisture. So this foundation, this powder foundation, does not dry out my skin. It doesn't super collect into any of my fine lines or into my pores. It actually looks great on my skin, not just on camera, but in person too. And this, what I'm adding now, is just a little bit of bronzer. So notice I'm hitting the bronzer just with a huge fluffy brush in my upper cheekbone area on the sides of my face to give myself some warmth and some color. Bronzer is also by MAC. I'm getting it around my jawline to add some shape to my face as well. It is not a it's not a complicated step, so don't let yourself overthink bronzer, okay? Next is blush. This blush is by Hourglass. Again, very high up on the cheekbone, on the bridge of my nose with a big fluffy brush. The goal of using this blush and bronzer is just to add color and contrast to my face. As we age, we start to lose color, we start to lose contrast in our faces. So I'm just simply adding it back in to give myself a more youthful, glowy look. Now you saw me put powder foundation underneath my eye, and so I don't actually like my under eye super bright, as in like much lighter than my skin tone. So what I'm doing here is I'm mixing in my blush with a face powder that has a little bit of a tint to it. I'm using the Charlotte Tilbury pressed powder. So it's just a little bit of that Hourglass blush mixed with the pressed face powder underneath my eye. And remember what I said about using mascara, first coat letting it dry, second coat using it to lift up the eyelashes. This is me doing that second coat. I am really putting a lot of tension at the root of my lash and pulling the lash up. I can actually feel the lashes being pulled through the brush, and you can see that lift that I have on my right eye. When I don't use this technique, it actually falls so much faster. So I'm doing this just a little bit more lip before I move on to my other eye. Don't be afraid to skip around your face and take advantage of products drying so they actually not only apply correctly, but they stay in place, right? You got to think about makeup kind of as like paint. If you add a coat of paint onto a wall of wet paint, it's just gonna peel that wet paint up. So you kind of got to wait between the layers, let them dry properly so you can add another layer that actually gives more depth and coverage to whatever area of the face you're working on. What I'm doing here with my lip is I'm just using my finger, I'm swirling it around a lip color from Charlotte Tilbury. I don't remember what color I actually use. It doesn't matter. It's kind of a nude pinky tone. And I'm patting it on my lip, and then I'm putting more Aquaphor on top to give it that shine. And here I am moving on to the second eye, giving it that lift again on the lash. And you can see how much tension I'm actually putting on that lash, pulling the mascara brush through. And remember what I said about being really lazy about my eyebrows in this routine? Well, here you go. This is your eyebrow tutorial for the minimalist makeup routine. I'm just going to take this cheapo eyebrow brush from e.l.f. I'm going to give myself a little eyebrow brush up. I'm going to set my bangs in front of my eyebrows so you don't pay too much attention to them. And I'm going to arrange my hair around it. So that truly is the most minimal makeup that I do when I want to just feel super fresh and leave the house feeling good, but I don't want to spend too much time on it. So my final step is to add powder in the places that are a little overly shiny. And that's it. This is really the most minimal, everyday, basic makeup that I do. That is anti-aging, because what I'm focusing on is just making my skin look good. I did not use any filters when filming this. I'm simply using window light and the back camera on my iPhone 14 Pro. So I'm not trying to pull one over on you. This is truly my makeup routine. I'm not doing this for camera. I go out with this makeup on. It looks good in person. And I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments below, and go ahead, like and subscribe.